Hello, folks. Welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports. We're doing live coverage of the SpaceX NASA launch for the Crew Dragon rocket with the Falcon 9 rocket, Crew Dragon capsule. This is Crew Mission 5, and they are getting ready to take off here in less than 15 minutes now. They've already fueling up the craft. Beautiful clear skies at Vandenberg Air Force Base in California as we get ready to launch this. There's the capsule. That doesn't look like Vandenberg. That looks like Florida. It's supposed to be in Vandenberg. So we are currently, let's see where we're at right now. Let's take a look very quickly. And we are at T-minus 13. This is Kennedy Space Center, not Vandenberg. So I guess the storm is gone now. Let's go ahead and take you over to that. It's Kennedy Space Center. It is not Vandenberg. I don't know why I said I'm sorry, Vandenberg is for the launch tonight. There will be Starlink satellites going up tonight on another mission, which is delayed because this one is launching. So we are down to 13 minutes here, folks, and ready to launch. Wow, it is pretty incredible stuff we're looking at here. Let's just get this back. International crew of Japanese, a Russian, 2 Americans on this, including 2 military members, a Marine and a Navy officer. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. We got there Val, Hendo, Dominique, Myra, Mr. Punisher, the male Jody Taylor, and Chris Thornton. Thank you, plus whoever else is out there in the chat. Appreciate it. 12 minutes, 47 seconds to launch. I'm going to bring that up on the screen now and take myself down for the launch. Oh, wow. Wait, I got to get a shot of this first. Oh, shoot, they got away from me too fast. Absolutely stunning picture that just, I missed it. Anyway, so let me go ahead and switch over to, where's it at? Come on, get to the screen. Come on. I'll do the screen. That's a better screenshot. There we go, actually. There we go. All right, cool. Okay, I've got some stupid, annoying app that just turned back on, and it's giving me a notifications, and I said no notifications. Very irritating. So, all right, hopefully that takes care of it. Sorry, folks. I can't have this when I'm busy doing stuff here. Personalizations. I don't want off. General. Okay. All right. So they're docking at the space station tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's going on. Thanks for tuning in. It's a beautiful day. It is beautiful. Hey, Drunken Yoda, how's it going? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Where is my camera at now? Oh, my goodness. There we go. We are waiting for Crew-5 to take off here in just a matter of moments here, folks. We're down to 11:30 before launch, and we'll get started here. Let me talk a little bit about this particular thing as we get to T-minus 10 about this particular mission. So this is at the Kennedy Space Center, as I said, the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket scheduled to launch 4 crew members on the Dragon spacecraft Endurance into orbit today from Launch Complex 39 Alpha at the Kennedy Space Center. Yeah, so the launch window starts 11:38. We're in the pipe right now, 11 minutes, 2 seconds left. If it doesn't take off, then tomorrow is 11:38 if it doesn't make it. We got 10:53 left. Yep, lifting off past 39, the Falcon 9 rocket and the Dragon Endurance will accelerate its 4 passengers to 17,500 miles per hour on an intercept course with the International Space Station. Of course, in order to reach those speeds, the Falcon 9 has 9 SpaceX Merlin engines, which hold 50,265 pounds of fuel to power them to low Earth orbit. The 45th Weather Squadron says a 90% chance of good flight weather. You can see it's perfectly clear there. Absolutely brilliant, folks. Now, this will be a series of firsts for the mission. It's a maiden voyage for the 230-foot tall reusable Falcon 9 rocket. This one has not been used previously. Many have. This one hasn't. Once the crew makes the space station, they'll spend 6 months doing 200 experiments, technology demonstrations, and maintenance. Now, this is an experienced crew. We've got on the crew here astronauts Nicole Mann and Josh Casada. A Japanese, they are go for launch, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. T-minus 10, NASA just said go for launch.
Preparation and training in getting Endurance and Crew-5 to the launch pad today, and your continued support in helping to make this a successful mission. We look forward to joining the rest of our Expedition 68 crew members aboard the International Space Station. And a special thanks on behalf of all the crew to our family and friends. It is your love and support.
All right, she's just blathering on. You don't need to hear the rest of that. I'll stop that. But the crew are Nicole Mann, Josh Casada, who's the pilot, Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Koichi Wakata, who is very experienced, T-minus 908, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Anna Kikina. So, wow, 2 men, 2 women. At 9 minutes ago. That was Nicole Mann. She's the first female captain of a Dragon. So this SpaceX. So Mann is a colonel of the Marine Corps and a test pilot. She holds a bachelor and a master of science in mechanical engineering. Koichi Wakata of the Japanese Space Agency is the only one who has space experience. He spent 11 months total in space thus far. Wow. It'll be the first time for cosmonaut Anna Kikina to leave. She's a mission specialist. She's the first time she got into space. Casada is a U.S. Navy test pilot, but a physicist. He's got a BA in physics at Albion and a PhD from the University of Rochester. Wow. So this is a very interesting flight, to say the least. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, folks, on board the ISS, members from Crew-4 are still up there, and Crew-5 will spend a little bit of time together before Crew-4 comes back to Earth. Koichi has a long career in space, began back in 1996. Wow. 26 years ago when he first flew as Japanese mission specialist in the space shuttle mission in the STS-72 mission. Wow, became the country's first astronaut to help assemble the International Space Station. He holds a doctorate in aerospace engineering and later led the International Crew Expedition 39 as the first Japanese commander of the space station. Wow. After docking, Crew-5 will be welcomed inside the station by the 7-member crew of Expedition 68. The astronauts of NASA's SpaceX Crew-4 mission will undock from the space station and splash down off the coast of Florida several days after. What the heck is that? Something just loaded on my screen. Several days after the Crew-5 arrival is what NASA had to say. So that's yet to be announced when that'll be. What's the point of the launch? Well, they're replacing astronauts, robot trucker. Crew-4 is currently at the International Space Station. Crew-5 is headed there now to replace them. I'm trying to find a good spot to stay. That looks like a good spot right there. That's the point of the launch. All right, we are down to, when I get to T-minus 5, I'm going to bring him back on, and we'll hear some of the announcements from some of the folks. But, yeah, so we are at T-minus 6:45 and counting. Hey, Sean. Anna Maria Island. They had very little damage, so I came back. Well, that's cool. We are waiting for the launch. This thing is a go at the moment, folks. T-minus 6:27 and counting. Yeah, those 9 Merlin engines on that Falcon 9 rocket are amazing. This is the first time this rocket's been used, but the Crew capsule, the Endurance, has been used previously. Fairweather Rugby fan, you remember when they used to show these on TV? Yeah, I do remember. I remember, and I actually was sitting in the day room cleaning my M16 after coming back from qualification at the rifle range in 1986 in Bad Kreuznach, Germany, when the Discovery, was it Discovery or Challenger blew up? Oh, it's a Challenger blew up. That was, that was a moment in my life I'll never forget, watching that thing explode. It was so sad. No, she is still active in the Russian Space Agency, to my knowledge, Chris. I can take a look and see, but I didn't see anything contrary to that. Welcome, everybody, tuning in now. This is a much bigger audience than I expected this time for this launch. Thanks for tuning in. For those who caught the news earlier, weren't able to chat. My apologies, but there wasn't time to indulge in chat, and I needed to make sure that the broadcast was working properly. It was a short broadcast. We are approaching T-minus 5, and then I'll turn on the audio, and we'll turn it on and off as we get down to the launch. Very quickly coming up. Hey, Lee Roberts, say welcome to you. How are things? Are you having a Tresemme day, Lee? All right, folks, T-minus 5. T-minus 5. Mark.
Dragon is in, configured for terminal count.
Terminal count. Oh, yeah. It sounds bad, but it's not.
All right, there we heard that call. Dragon onboard computers have now taken control.
This is amazing, the technology involved in making this sort of thing happen, ladies and gentlemen. It is something else.
Loading is underway, and we'll wrap up.
So we are down under 5 minutes. Hopefully we won't have any aborted missions and this thing will go. This is a combination of the private sector and government. Of course, it's always been that case. It was always Boeing and Raytheon and others who, oh, we had a little hiccup there. T-minus 423. And count. Let me make sure this thing is still alive. Yeah,
And
it's still
here
alive.
in just a couple seconds, you might be able to see the strong back arm as it does begin to retract. As Kate said,
Yeah,
will
watch it
recline
pull away
2
from the
degrees.
rocket here in a moment. Now,
can
it's
just
disappointing
barely
that,
make
that
out
SpaceX
the
doesn't
clamp
have
arm-
the
the clamp
markers up
arms
across the
are now
screen to tell you what the
beginning to
countdown is. Hopefully after launch that'll happen. I think Elon Musk buying Twitter is a fool, but hopefully it'll be an improve it. I think they
All right,
wait
now
for
that those
Millennium
clamp
to
arms
arrive.
are removed, as Sandra said,
Yeah, so do I,
retract
Chris Thornton.
by
Here we
2
go. It's trying to
degrees,
break away now.
And then at liftoff,
I
the
really
strong
get
back
excited by
will
this
retract
myself, too.
another
Ever since watching the
5
Apollo
degrees,
program as a small child.
allowing Falcon 9 to
Yeah, Drunken Yoda, go outside, but leave your stream on. Give me credit for watching it.
And the transporter erector is what provides.
All right,
liquid,
she's
the
breaking
gas,
away.
and
Watch that cable
connections
snap
to the
off. Here we
vehicle.
go.
It's also what we use to integrate
pulling
the
away
vehicle
the
in
tower
its
now.
horizontal position.
Looks
You
like
can
it's
see
for
that
real. I'll tell you what, if they have to abort this, it's going to be
just
some
down
frustrated astronauts because they'll have to wait for that tower to come back and defuel it before they can get out. It's too dangerous to come
And the
out.
next call out that we should hear in about 20 seconds is that the first stage LOX load is complete.
Once again, I'm not sure why SpaceX is not putting the milestones up. They normally do that.
Stage 1 LOX load is complete.
There you go.
And
Stage
there
1
we
LOX
go.
load
All
is
of the
complete.
oxidizer loaded on stage 1. Soon we'll hear that stage 2 LOX load is complete, and that will be the last propellant call out we'll hear today. Now less than 3 minutes until launch.
2:46 to launch.
Dragon is in terminal count and is
Terminal
on internal
count.
power.
Now running off internal power.
All right, there we heard the good news that Dragon is now on internal power. Again, the white clouds that you see there at the base of the Dragon trunk, totally normal. That's just the vapor from the liquid oxygen.
Beautiful day in
Again,
Florida.
second
What a
stage now
contrast
wrapping
to
up
just
its
a
LOX
week
load.
ago, ladies and gentlemen, when Hurricane Ian hit.
Excuse me,
Devastation
first stage wrapping up its
to
LOX
Fort
load,
Myers.
just a few minutes ago, and now moving toward wrap up of second stage LOX load, which will complete
We are
at
moments
T-minus
away
2
from this launch. And I'll give you a
Coming up
mark
on
at
2
T-minus 2 minutes.
Liftoff, standing by for word that stage 2 LOX load has been completed.
T-minus 2. And counting. Yeah, that was a pretty sick joke there, Chris, that they did that. I never saw that joke. I was 30 minutes later still cleaning my rifle, trying to turn it in the arms room.
Dragon is in auto idle.
Auto idle.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
There
SpaceX
we heard the
roadmap is
call out.
Mars
Falcon
robot
9
trucker
is now
by
completely
2030.
fueled. All of its propellants, so
Gas closeouts are starting. Expect loud venting.
There we go.
all of its propellants.
T-minus
we can
130.
see that leftover liquid oxygen now being.
We get to under
vented
1 minute.
or
I'm going to
released,
take myself and
now
move
flowing
myself on the
further
screen
away
again
from the
here.
Vehicle, so nearly 1 million pounds
For the launch.
of liquid
Oh,
oxygen
don't see
in
the astronauts.
RP1 now
1
on
million
board
pounds
Falcon 9
of fuel
is
propellant
fully
in there.
loaded and ready for launch.
Yeah, Fairweather
And
Rugby
coming
fan, I
up
would
at
not
T-minus
refuse an
1
opportunity
minute,
to
we'll
go
hear
into
that
space.
Dragon is in
It's
countdown.
dangerous.
Its flight computer will switch to countdown
T-minus
mode,
1
and we'll
coming
hear
up
that
on
the
my
flight
mark. T-minus
termination
1
system on
and
Falcon 9 is armed.
Mark.
Armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and is now controlling.
And you heard it.
Dragon is in countdown.
Dragon's flight computer in countdown.
The flight computer
The
now
flight
controls
termination
everything. Of
system
course,
now
you know, we have a
armed.
pilot, but that's ridiculous because he doesn't even fly the damn
Get
thing.
the final go for launch from
Here we go,
SpaceX
folks.
launch
Here we
director
go.
Mark
Dragon,
Soltis.
SpaceX. Godspeed. Go for launch.
Go for launch.
SpaceX Dragon, go for launch.
That's man, the commission
SpaceX
commander.
reports go.
T-minus 30.
Crew reports go. 30 seconds until liftoff.
They've taken the countdown away. Why'd they do that? That sucks. Why'd they take the countdown away?
T-minus 15.
T-minus 15.
10.
T 9, 8, 7,
7.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition.
Ignition.
We have ignition.
And liftoff.
Here it goes. Yeah, baby. Look at her go.
Propulsion is nominal.
Propulsion is nominal.
Range. Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Unbelievable. That's a ride. There you go. We finally got some
We're now
Telemetry
at
there.
T plus 35 seconds into the 5th rotational crew mission on board Dragon and Falcon 9.
Coming up in just a few seconds, we'll hear the call out for stage 1 throttle down.
Approaching 1 minute. Stage 1 throttle down just happened.
Falcon 9 engines throttling down to help pass through the period of maximum dynamic pressure.
1 minute in
This
flight.
period is known as max Q, and once the vehicle, there we just heard that the vehicle is now traveling faster than the speed of sound. Once through max Q, we'll throttle those Merlin engines back up.
I don't blame you. I've got tears. I always get emotional about these things.
Stage 1 Bravo.
Copy 1 Bravo.
That call out for 1 Bravo means we're in the second and final abort mode for the first stage, continuing to get good performance. The crew is already pulling
And the call out
over
was by
2Gs.
astronaut Nicole Mann.
And next up is going to be a couple of events in rapid succession. First will be engine chill on the second stage and that
T plus
engine.
145.
And there you heard that call out. And then we'll have MECO, or main engine
Engine
cutoff,
cutoff.
where the 9 engines igniting will cut off
Ooh,
in
look at
preparation
Florida
for
down
second
there.
stage separation. Then we'll see the single Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage ignite and continue to carry the
There's
Crew-5
a
astronauts
image
to
from
orbit.
terrestrial looking up.
Just like we did on first stage, that
It was
MVAC chill
astronaut
is intended
Nicole
to
Mann
help pre-chill the hardware prior to the full flow of that densified
Reading
liquid
out the
oxygen.
call on the vessel.
Stage 1 throttle down.
Stage 1 throttle down,
At this point
222 in
time,
flight.
Those 9 Merlin engines are beginning to throttle down in preparation for MECO, or main engine cutoff.
6,000 kilometers per hour, continuing to gain velocity and altitude 74 kilometers above the
Standing
surface of
by
the Earth
for
now.
MECO.
Main engine cutoff is coming, and there it is. We just saw it.
MECO.
Main engine cutoff.
Alpha.
Stage separation confirmed.
Separation
Copy 2
confirmed.
Alpha.
There you go. Main
There
engine
we
cutoff.
should
Now watch
see
that
that
other engine
second
fire
engine
up and
begin
turn
to
cherry
ignite
red,
now.
baby. Here she goes. Yeah.
And obviously confirmed by the loud cheer behind
Second
us here
stage
as
successful.
mission control
Look at her
on
cook.
board.
Look at her cook.
And we're also in 2 Alpha for the aborts if needed. Again, second stage is lit and continuing to carry the Crew-5 astronauts into orbit.
We're now getting a view of the first stage after that stage separation. The second stage still being illuminated.
Look at her
by
go.
that single
7,000
Merlin
kilometers
vacuum
per
engine,
hour
and
now,
that's on the
128
right-hand side of
kilometers
your
above the
screen.
Earth's surface.
First stage on the left-hand side of your screen, making its way back to Earth. We will be attempting to land it on our drone ship.
You're correct, Chris
which
Thornton.
today
Boeing
we're
is still
using
trying to
just
figure
read
this
the
out.
instructions.
Stabilizer fins, waiting for that rocket to come back down. We're going to cover that when it lands on the ship off the shore of Florida on the left-hand camera.
And we did hear that acquisition of the ground station in Bermuda.
So Bermuda's picked them up.
The first
is
stage
tracking
is
them.
continuing to make its way back to Earth.
That's
and
an
the
incredible
second
view on the
stage
first
is going to
stage.
continue.
SpaceX trajectory nominal.
Trajectory nominal.
Another good call. Trajectory
First stage
nominal.
coming back down to Earth.
Confirmation there from Commander Nicole Mann. You can also sort of see the Space Coast there in the background of the first stage on the left-hand side of your screen.
Are those
It also
birds
looks like
flying
you can
in the
actually
screen?
see the thrust plume created by the first stage as it's now rotating just out of
Birds
screen.
at that altitude, no way. Just must be particles of
Second
ice.
stage is going to continue firing until a little over 8 minutes into the flight. Really doing the heavy lifting now, getting the crew into
Where'd
orbit.
that second stage go? What always amazes me is that they have it wrapped in a
Everything
trash
continues
bag.
to look nominal on both first and second stages. As I mentioned before, the first stage will be making a landing on one of our drone ships, which is
What is
currently
that?
parked a couple hundred miles off
That
the coast
doesn't
of
look good.
Florida
Did you see that?
in the Atlantic
Something
Ocean.
slipped
so
on
we
that
can
ring.
see now that
Dragon, SpaceX trajectory nominal.
good confirmation there that we have good trajectory.
That's man talking again. We've never heard this before. Now that a
The
woman's
second
on the ship,
stage
she gets to
now
talk all the
traveling
time.
over
Previous commanders didn't say
5,400
anything.
miles per hour.
Yeah, the booster returns are incredible.
Crew is
10,000
flying a little
kilometers
more
per
than
hour.
1G right now. That's going to continue to ramp up peaking just before we get to second stage cutoff here in just a few minutes from now.
Yeah, it is amazing how they get them land on a dime, and they reuse them. That's why this has become affordable.
First stage
relative
will be
terms.
performing 2 separate burns.
5 minutes and 30
a
seconds
re-entry
since
burn,
launch.
where we reignite 3 of the Merlin
Yeah,
Merlin
it's the strongest
M1D
tinfoil
engines on
ever.
first
It's weird
stage.
how the
We
second
ignite
stage
center
has 2
engine
camera
to
angles. It
radial
looks like 2
radial
different
engines
things. Look at that.
to
That
slow
looks
it
like
down as it
aluminum. It
re-enters
must be the
Earth's
other side.
atmosphere. And then the
And that
second
ring
final
slipped.
burn, and that will be the
It's slipping
landing
again.
burn
See it?
on our
Look at that
drone
ring
ship.
moving. That ring is moving.
And the single MVAC engine that you see.
SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
12,000 kilometers per hour
The
now,
single
folks.
MVAC
200
engine
kilometers altitude.
See on the right of your screen is
First stage
continuing
returning to
fire.
surface.
We did hear another call out that trajectory is nominal.
Trajectory
Crew
nominal.
Heading in the direction that they are
There you're
supposed
looking.
to be.
AFSCM.
Down the inside of the first stage on the left-hand side. That's the second
This
stage
single
there
engine
with
can
its
produce
tin
over
foil.
220,000 pounds of thrust.
Woo,
in the
that's a lot of
vacuum
thrust.
space. Now over
Cherry
200
red she is.
kilometers in altitude.
That's the opposite side, supposedly.
We will start to hit events now in a rapid succession as the first stage continues to make its way back to Earth.
13,000,
14,000
kilometers per hour at an altitude of 200 kilometers above
For
the
those
surface
of
of
you
the
just
Earth.
joining us just over 6.5 minutes ago, our 4 Crew-5 astronauts launched from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, and they are now making their way into orbit on the second stage inside Crew Dragon.
SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Trajectory's nominal.
But
Cherry
you're
red
hearing
on
that
that
the
second
trajectory on
stage,
that is
now
nominal.
approaching 16,000 kilometers
They
per
are
hour.
safe inside
200
Dragon
kilometers
endurance,
above
whereas
the Earth's
first stage
surface,
on the left-hand
picking up
side of your
speed.
screen is making its way back to Earth.
Stage 1 on the left-hand side of your screen,
We are
7 minutes
coming
since
up
launch.
to the re-entry burn, which, as I said before, we
Now the
ignite
speed's
3 of
slowing
the 9
down.
Merlin engines to help slow the booster down as it re-enters the dense part of the Earth's atmosphere.
And it's
As
picked
the
up
entry
again.
burn completes, we'll be in the final.
Stage 1, entry burn startup.
There you go. There's the
There we go,
burn
the
for
call
stage
out.
1 on the left-hand side. You can
There's
see the
on your
entry burn.
screen that entry burn has been initiated.
What amazes me is that they can fly these things after they've been through the
And
atmosphere.
as that entry burn completes, we'll be
19,000
in the
kilometers
final,
now for the
different
second stage.
abort phases here shortly, which essentially correspond to areas along the very northeastern seaboard of the U.S. And
Stage
then
1, entry burn shut down.
There you go. It's shut down. You can see the smoke coming off of it.
great
Stage
news,
1.
that entry burn was shut down, and then those
21,000 kilometers per hour.
Atlantic off
Woo,
the coast of
baby.
Scotland for those
You think you got a
abortions.
speeding ticket, Ronaldo? Jos. Wow. Look at that, folks. Look at that.
Everything
is
continues
something,
to
isn't
look
it?
nominal for both the first and second
Stage 2.
stages.
Things looking pretty good here. We're coming up on the first stage approaching, hitting Earth. It seems longer than usual, doesn't it? It's about 10
And
minutes or so, I think, usually is
The
when it comes
crew
down.
with the second stage still attached is now traveling over 13,000
24,000
miles per hour.
kilometers per hour.
We're about 10
24,000.
seconds away
Dang.
from SECO 1.
Copy, Shannon.
Second engine cutoff is coming.
Shannon, that
Stage
call
1,
out,
transonic.
that call out for Shannon, Ireland,
Transonic.
indicative of our final abort zone.
26,000
After
kilometers
this,
per
we'll
hour.
see second stage shut off, and we'll be listening for confirmation of a good orbit, which tells us the crew and Dragon are exactly where they need to be.
Shut down.
Second stage cutoff now. The second stage engine is cut off at 27,000 kilometers. You can see it. Success.
Landing burn.
Has shut down
Okay.
simultaneously.
We just lost
the
the
entry
descent.
SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
Landing burn. We got to switch back to
And you
telemetry
heard that
for the
call
other
for a
rocket,
good
please.
insertion.
Here it goes.
We
Here we
will
go. Here's the
see a
landing.
few minutes.
Yeah, baby. Come
There we can
on. Let's
see
go,
the drone
SpaceX.
ship coming
Look at those
into view
flaps
as
coming in.
Falcon 9
They always do a
advances.
poor job on the actual pad, the camera. Oh, they just extended.
See those
There we
landing lights
go.
have now deployed.
10, 9, 8. Oh, there it is. It's landed. Yeah. That's the best camera view they've had yet. Well done, SpaceX.
Here by the clapping and
Woohoo.
cheering behind me, Falcon 9 has landed on
Wow.
the drone ship just through the instructions.
Just under
Parked
10
off the
minutes.
coast of Florida.
Signal. Okay.
And there is the second stage shut down now.
And
They're
again,
on
that
a path to
second
join the
stage
International Space Station.
Separation will be coming up just a couple of minutes now. We do coast
Waiting for
a
that
few
second
minutes
separation to come up.
after second engine cutoff to allow any rates to or motion to dampen out and settle. And looks like we're going to get a view of the second stage as it separates here shortly. We did hear that the crew has been successfully inserted into a good orbit.
That's excellent. 1022 into flight, 27,000 kilometers per hour now, and it is in orbit. You can see it rotating around the Earth, or for those who don't believe in it, around the green screen.
Again, the crew is still attached to the second stage.
The green screen. Yikes. That's SpaceX there, if I'm not mistaken. Not NASA.
We are expecting stage separation to occur in just over a minute from now, about 1 minute and 8 seconds.
We'll hang around for that, waiting for that to occur here, folks. Separation.
Excuse me, when the second stage will separate from the Dragon trunk. The Dragon trunk is the part of hardware where we are able to house the cargo that is able to be exposed to the vacuum of space, as well as the solar panels, which help power Dragon.
They are headed to the International Space Station, folks.
Again, that stage separation is now coming up in about 30 seconds. After stage separation, we will have
inside the capsule there.
Now that Dragon is in the vacuum of space, we will be able to open the nose cone and expose that forward hatch, which is what is utilized to dock autonomously with the International Space Station.
Trying to find out when they're landing with or reaching the space station. It doesn't say.
Stay closed for the flight uphill to help
it's not telling me when.
All of the guidance, navigation, and control sensors. We are standing by for second stage
Chris
separation.
Wyatt and I have great American pride too, and thank you to the South African who helped us realize it. Elon Musk, yeah, kind of a nutter at times, but he does have a brilliant mind. I guess that comes with being a brilliant person. There it goes. There's the stage separation.
And there is separation.
There you go.
Separation confirmed.
Wow, that's an incredible view right there, isn't it, folks? Look at that camera angle right there. Second stage separation. Dragon is independent now, flying on its own.
Dragon meets your launch director on Dragon. On behalf of the entire launch and recovery team, it was an honor, a pleasure to be a part of this mission with you. And while October 3rd may belong to the Mean Girls, October 5th will forever belong to Crew-5. Godspeed, Endurance. Cheers.
No idea what he's talking about on October 3rd. We also have another SpaceX launch tonight, folks.
Thank you so much, the Falcon team. That was a smooth ride up here. You got 3 rookies that are pretty happy to be floating in space right now, and 1 veteran astronaut who's pretty happy to be back as well. Let's see what you got to say, Coochie.
That's Nicole Mann.
You know, it was a smooth ride, and I see all the 3 happy faces here. Back in 0G, and I appreciate all the help.
Koichi Wakata.
Smooth ride and training, and thank you so much. ジャックさんの支援隊の皆さん、非常にスムーズな打ち上げでした、打ち上げご支援していただいた皆さん、応援に駆けつけてくださった皆さん、ありがとうございました。この調子でチームワークを持って頑張ります。Thank you for your support.
どうもarigato.
Thank you, Falcon 9 and fellow agencies, to Roscosmos, NASA, and JAXA, and SpaceX exactly for giving us this opportunity. We're so glad to do it together. And thank you for everybody, for all people who with us. Спасибо большое всем агентствам Роскосмос, NASA, JAXA и, естественно, SpaceX за предоставленную нам возможность. Мы рады всем экипажам делать то, что мы сейчас делаем. И большое спасибо всем людям, кто сейчас с нами.
Ruski. Anna Kikina, cosmonaut on the ship. That's so. Let's see if
really
Josh
nice
Casada
there
speaks.
From the Crew-5 crew, as well as.
And Dragon Falcon 9C, thanks for the words. Had a great ride. Have a good mission. We'll see you later.
There you go. Now they're
wonderful
stuck in that capsule until they meet up with the International Space Station.
And then we just heard
Looks like a tight fit. Now that capsule can actually hold 7 astronauts, but only 4 are on this mission. And it's a good question there with all the debris. Separation.
Humidifier activation and service section Draco checkouts.
Draco checkouts coming. Okay.
Hampshire.
Good touch screen there.
Dragon copy.
And Kate, it did look like we were getting our first views of that microgravity indicator.
I did see that as well.
It's interesting to see
and we're getting views
much
now
more
of
interaction.
The crew on orbit, 3 of them for the first time ever. We saw some
Only
cheers,
a Japanese
some high
astronaut has
fives.
been in
Looks
space
like
previously.
They're feeling great.
But yeah, it's interesting to see how much interaction now that they put a woman as a mission commander. She was chatting the whole time. We never heard that on the previous missions.
Into view.
Those are cool gloves.
Shot of it. I couldn't quite tell what it was, although it kind of looked like it may have
John
been
Yankees, I know a
Einstein
ton about
doll.
Starlink. What do you want to know about it?
Kind of what it looked like
Tonight there'll be a launch for Starlink. I'll be covering that,
you're
John.
right, Kate. It looked like a
That'll be
baby
tonight.
Einstein.
Well, I won't be able to cover it because I'll be on the radio, but I'll be talking about it. So Starlink has a launch
the next milestone that
7:10
we're
tonight.
looking ahead towards is the nose cone opening.
Yeah, unfortunately, I will be on the radio at that time. Oh, wait. Yeah, 4 p.m. Pacific time, yeah. So I won't be able to do it. They'll be launching more Starlink satellites tonight.
We had a successful liftoff exactly 16 minutes ago of the Crew-5 mission. They had an on-time liftoff from Kennedy Space Center at noon Eastern Time. They had a smooth ride up to orbit. The first stage landed successfully on our drone ship. Just read the instructions, and everything has been looking good so far. We are hoping to get another view on board Dragon once we're able to get that camera back. But so far, you know, everything leading up to this point in time, we got a shot there of the MVAC engine, which is no longer firing. It is coasting with that it's attached to the second stage.
Yeah, that's the second stage. Let me turn her off for a couple minutes there, folks, and turn her down. Yeah, so we're 16 minutes, 45 seconds into this launch, successful launch by SpaceX and NASA from Launch Pad 39 Alpha at the Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral, Florida, where I was at a few months ago back in February. Didn't get a chance to see any launches when I was there, but the Crew Dragon is now moving for its rendezvous with the International Space Station. Not sure when that occurs. Usually it occurs about 18 to 24 hours later, depending on launch and where the space station is. So anyway, they will link up with the space station, and that's what's going on. So very successful. 4 astronauts on this one, 2 Americans, both military, Nicole Mann and Josh Cassad. And Nicole Mann, I believe, is Marine. Josh Cassad is the pilot. Nicole Mann is the mission commander. And the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Koichi Wakata, who is the only experienced pilot. He's flown multiple times into orbit with the space shuttle mission, his first mission back in 1996. Wow. And also Roscosmos cosmonaut Anna Kikina is also on there. You heard the Japanese and Russian being spoken as they convey messages back to folks here on the Big Blue Marble. And we're waiting for the second stage. It does burn up in the atmosphere. That is correct. That's what happens with the second stage. The first stage lands successfully. Yep. Bob says, thanks to the Aerospace Machinists Union. I was there in 88, went on a tour of the entire place. Yeah, it's pretty cool, but they don't really let you see enough. As a military member, I went down there on a particular mission and got to see so much more of I actually got to see NASA at the Kennedy Space Center, went out to the launch pads and everything, went into the operation. That was really cool, an experience I'd never get otherwise. As you go there as a tourist, you don't get that opportunity to see that. That's not something you actually see when you go to the Kennedy Space Center. You're taken to a tourist site where disused rockets and a space shuttle are located. It's pretty cool. It's awesome. It's worth going, but you're not going to see the actual facilities. I actually got to ride around on launch pads and go out to the warehouses and such. It was super cool. I just wish I had a better camera than I did at the time. The camera I had was pretty sucky. But yeah, that was pretty interesting stuff. So what is the image on the one side? I'm trying to figure out what that is. That's bizarre with the right-hand images there. Price of data in South Africa is too high, says John. What for what, John Yankees? It is too high, yes. It was Air Force member. Oh, that's Bob. Yeah, Bob worked at Boeing for a long time. Have you visited Johnson Space Center, Houston? I have. In fact, I have a Johnson Space Center hat here. I should have put that on, but this is Kennedy Space Center. Hang on. There you go. I was at the Johnson Space Center in June of this year. First time I ever got there. There you go, Johnson Space Center in June. It's a cool hat. I like that one. Unfortunately, it's named after an SOB for a former president. So, but this wasn't from the Johnson Space Center, so that's why I didn't have it on. But yeah, I went to Johnson Space Center. That was even more disappointing than Cape Canaveral. Cape Canaveral was far more interesting. But I have never been in the Johnson Space Center because I'd already left active duty by the time that I got there. But the Kennedy Space Center is incredible. Sheer scale of the Space Center is staggering. It is huge. It's a massive property. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, astronauts is the past. Didn't talk much because they were too busy doing calculation slide rules. No, Light Rain. I'm talking about the SpaceX astronauts. They didn't talk in the past. This is a new thing, having these astronauts chat like this. So anyway, want a chunk of company. I seem to remember maybe wrong. What's that? What company? Yes, Chris, I've been to that one. Thanks to Aerospace. What have I missed here? They said it was coming to South Africa, but it was put on indefinite hold. What was coming? Yeah, hit the like button, folks, if you don't mind. It's not a problem. It's right down there at the bottom. Smash that like button.
That was easy.
And Beth said the gloves remind me of new generation motorcycle jackets. Yeah. No one's playing Candy Crush on that screen. Starlink. Okay, John Yankee, Starlink coming to South Africa. No, Starlink is not coming to South Africa because the racist in the ANC government demanded that Elon Musk give 30% of the equity in Starlink South Africa to black South Africans. Yep. They demanded without any that isn't even part of BEE. They demanded that. Hang on, we got something happening here. Draco checkout's coming. That's Man again. Nicole Man.
Next burn is the upcoming phase burn per your displays.
We see the phase burn in 28 minutes.
28 minutes. I'm not going to be here in 28 minutes.
Good readback.
Good readback. The correct pro word is Roger. Over. Idiots.
So you heard it there. The nose cone has fully been opened successfully.
Okay, well, let's see it.
Checkouts on the Draco thrusters, on the service section Draco thrusters, rather. And we also had nominal forward bulkhead checkouts.
All right, that looks good. So things are looking good there, folks. You can see the pilots inside the Crew Dragon capsule right there. This is the Crew-5 mission to the International Space Station. 4 astronauts. One is a cosmonaut, another is a Japanese astronaut, 2 Americans, 1 Navy, 1 Marine, flying up to replace the Crew-4, which will be departing after this crew arrives. There'll be a short turnover. They'll all be on the station for a period of time. They'll spend 6 months in space. For Japanese astronaut Koichi Wakata, he's already spent 11 months of his life in space on previous missions, flown shuttle missions in the past. His first shuttle mission was in 1996. He's the only experienced previous member of the crew who's previously been to space. So now they've all been to space. I mean, he's the only one who's been there previously. So everything he was made by Aerospace Union Labor. Yeah, John Yankees, it is a bummer. Because the racists in the ANC are preventing low-cost, high-speed internet access for remote rural communities in South Africa because they're just greedy, thieving bastards. So it has nothing to do with race. They're using race as an excuse and trying to steal 30% of his equity. And so Starlink is not coming to South Africa, at least not legally or legitimately. People might buy some pirated systems and use it. The coverage will cover South Africa. You just won't be able to use it because the criminals that run your country in the ANC, they demanded 30% equity from Elon Musk. And he said, foot sec, as he should. As he should. What's this?
Copies. We are go for 4.012 and 4.300. We're going to keep the cameras configured, and when we stow the suits, we'll do it with the visors.
Good readback. At this time, you're also go to tell the world a little bit about that stowaway we saw shortly after.
Oh, the teddy bear. Let's hear about that. I wish these people learned proper pro words. Good readback, freaking millennials. You going to tell us about the teddy bear or not? We're waiting. The world's waiting, buddy. Let's go.
So we're standing by from a few
Blixen,
words.
you are late.
Standing by for a few words.
You can go back and watch them
from
from the beginning. It's pretty cool.
About that zero-G indicator.
They're using the teddy bear, or what is that? Einstein? What is that thing?
There it is.
Is that Einstein? That's their zero-G indicator. It's a stuffed animal. High tech. Nothing but the best with SpaceX and NASA. Whoops, the camera froze. Whoops.
Dragon up back in the ground. We missed the last part of your transmission.
They didn't hear it. It's broken up.
And no worries, repeating my last one there. I was going to have you all talk a little bit about your zero-G indicator, but we can hold that off for the next ground station pass here for Dubai. At this time, what I'll do is I'll take the cameras external for suit doffing, and then you let me know when they're allowed to come back on board.
Okay. Did they get that? We're having some atmospheric.
Okay, Dragon copies. So we'll let you know when you come back on with the cameras, and we're excited to talk about our stowaway here.
Well, tell us about it.
Okay, Dragon copies and working.
Boris Johnson. It
And
does
it
look
does sound like we are in a brief expected loss of signal with the crew. This does happen from time to time when we're
Oh, yeah, a brief expected loss of signal from the crew, and the guy was completely unaware of this millennial. Roger, good copy, good feedback, 10, buddy. Yeah, good, buddy. 10-4. You got your ears on? Yeah, up there in the capsule. Oh, back to woke SpaceX here. Let me let you look at these honeys here. You guys can watch these honeys. Here you go.
It's spectacular to watch this launch.
Oh, they have dudes,
here in
and they're
Hawthorne,
white
but tell
dudes.
me,
Oh,
what
my
was it like to
goodness.
see it on the ground?
It was amazing. First of all, we got an idyllic day right here on the Space Coast. I mean, the temperatures are like, mid 70s. There's a cool breeze. Phenomenal launch. Bob, I want to get your thoughts. You've flown, you've watched. This was pretty perfect.
No, this was just outstanding. It was picturesque, with the blue sky, the blue background.
It was amazing.
A beautiful day here in Florida. The only thing I wish was that I was there with them, because that is the one place that is better to watch a launch from than right here at the Kennedy Space Center is on board the rocket ship.
There you go.
I got to believe that. And though we weren't on board, we did get to watch the views as we were going up and saw them land the booster, which, by the way, that booster also going to be SpaceX's and NASA's Crew-5 booster. So more the reuse, NASA taking advantage of that as well.
Absolutely. Every chance that we get to reuse a capsule or reuse a booster kind of drives down costs and increases the opportunity for more folks to fly in space.
Now I'm headed out to take a swim, right? I mean,
oh, please. Gosh, this guy doesn't know
out here.
it. Come on.
Bob, thank you for your thoughts.
Get the honeys back. At least they know what they're talking about.
We've got an interview here with Robin Gatens, the director of the International Space Station, who also joins us here. And you got to experience the launch from right here outside the press site. And I want to ask you, how did you enjoy it?
Well, it's always exciting to see launch to the International Space Station. I've seen many, but especially to see a new international crew headed to the International Space Station was very exciting. And of course, you nailed it. Beautiful day. Really glad we got this one off today.
Absolutely, and they'll make that 29-hour transit to the space station.
29 hours, there you go.
International Space Station. So I want to ask you,
it said 18, 24 hours,
there's a book coming out that's, there have been books before about the International Space Station, but a new one's coming out. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's called Our Benefits to Humanity. It is a publication we have put out before.
Yeah, okay, we don't need to hear about them re-releasing a book. But anyway, so the mission's now up. It's over half an hour, or almost a half an hour since it launched successfully from Launch Pad 39 Alpha at the Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral on the east coast of Florida, Space Coast, folks. Yeah, so 4 astronauts, 2 Americans, both military officers, Nicole Mann, a Marine colonel, and Josh Casada, a Navy test pilot, and an international crew, including Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Koichi Wakata. The only person to previously travel to space was Wakata. He's previously been there 4 trips. He spent 11 months total in space in the past. His first mission was 1996 on the Space Shuttle. STS-72, I think, was a mission. And also there is a Roscosmos cosmonaut on board, Anna Kina, and a little stowaway, which I think it's probably going to be like Einstein or something like that, a stuffed animal. Dark Rain is trying to be cute, but in fact, NASA is very woke, and so is SpaceX. I was astounded to see 2 white males. Maybe they're transgender, or maybe they're gay. I don't know, but to see 2 white males on the stage right there was a shocking development. The one guy looks like Clark Kent, the guy in the middle. I keep waiting for him to rip off that jacket, and it's It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Superman. He looks like Clark Kent. Look at that guy with those glasses. Anyway, but it's shocking to see 2 NASA male employees in the same space. It's just such a rarity. They spend all their time promoting transgenderism, people of color, internationalism, and anything that's not American. It's shocking to see them take pride in actually doing something that's for America. It is for mankind, but America leads mankind in this respect. The land surrounding Cape Canaveral was some of the best protected wildlife. It is. White Zulu. In fact, when I was there, I drove past crocodile or gators. No, alligators, not crocodiles. Alligators. Alligators swim in the canals right there. They just like a whole bunch of them, man. They're just right there where the tourists drive in. The alligators are right there, man. It's like Alligator Alley. Yep. It's a stowaway teddy bear. No, Anna Marie. No, it looks like a stuffed. Geez, now I'm drawing a blank now. Albert Einstein. It looks like Albert Einstein with a crazy hair, but we didn't get a chance to really see it. It looked like a bear when I first saw it, but when they let it float, that's their zero gravity indicator, the high-tech solution to determine that they've reached no gravity. They float a stuffed animal on a string. It looked like Albert Einstein, so hopefully they'll come back. On large buildings, the Moffett airship hangar in California was 345 meters long, 60 meters tall. During open house, they had small hot air balloons inside you could ride from floor to ceiling. Okay, thanks, Light Rain, for sharing that. Yes, he does look like Clark Kent, doesn't he? I mean, look at that. Look, in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Let's hear a little bit more from Superman. Is he still talking?
It's a baby Einstein, Bob, but it was a little Einstein.
It definitely looked like a small Einstein, but we'll listen to Josh and hear exactly the details.
Okay, what are the details? We're waiting. We're listening.
Let's listen in.
We're listening. There's nothing happening, brother. Any day now. Any day. Any day.
Again,
yeah, he is good looking.
Josh Cassada with a special message.
Oh, Josh Cassada, he's the pilot.
Cameras are internal.
All right, let's see him. Here we go. That's Josh Cassada. It looks like they're going to unzip and maybe they've opened up their helmets so they can breathe in there now. Going to take the gloves off. All right, inside the capsule now, wearing a NASA dinner jacket.
Dragon copies. We are internal with the waistbands off and stand by for the cabin mic check.
Oh, the one dude's up already. Is that Cassada?
Koichi Wakata is out of his seat.
Oh, Wakata's out of his seat. Yeah, the gloves come off now.
SpaceX Dragon from the cabin mic comm check.
Who is that, an alien?
And Koichi, I've got you 5x5. How me?
It's not 5x5. That's ridiculous. Learn pro words.
Mike, we have you loud and clear also.
There's obviously a delay between the time the signal gets there and the video
Great news,
does.
and we're also getting some great views inside the capsule here. So if you all want to get a chance to talk about your indicator, we'd all love to hear some.
Well, come on. Tell us about the zero grav indicator. We want to see if it's Albert Einstein. Here it comes. Here it comes.
Absolutely, Mike. So, a couple years after he come up with his groundbreaking theory of special relativity,
it is Einstein.
Einstein, in his mind, still had a couple loose ends to tie up. While he was sitting in the patent office, because he wasn't famous yet, definitely should have been, he had what his happiest thought of his entire life. That thought was, person in free fall doesn't feel their own weight. That thought, along with some others that he built upon, led to general relativity and our understanding of gravitation and curvature of space-time. We're experiencing Einstein's happiest thought continuously, like the International Space Station has been doing for over 20 years.
It is Albert Einstein, as I said.
On Crew-5, call this little guy our free fall indicator. We're here to tell you there's plenty of gravity up here. In fact, that's what's keeping us in orbit right now and preventing this trip on a Crew Dragon from being a one-way trip. A little bit like life. We live in the same world. We live in the same universe. Sometimes we experience it in a very different way from our neighbors. We can all keep that in mind. Hopefully we can all continue to do absolutely amazing things. Do it together.
A space speech.
Well, that was excellent, Josh. We appreciate you all taking the chance to share with us some of those special words. And
we just wanted to know what the doll was. we didn't need a stump speech.
My crewmates are just happy that we didn't break out a dry erase board and get into more detail.
Navy officers, they never know when to shut up.
We'll chat lensing later.
Josh Quesada, Navy test pilot, and the pilot on this mission.
Absolutely.
And they seem to be having fun.
Astronaut Josh Quesada, the pilot of Crew-5, and his fellow astronauts and cosmonaut, floating in space high above the Earth as they head to the International Space Station with a special message about Albert Einstein, who is represented there floating around space as the zero-G indicator, but then also a nod to his theory of relativity. E equals MC squared, I believe, Bob.
Well, there are a lot of great things that Einstein was responsible for, and
Yep, absolutely. That's absolutely brilliant there, folks. Pretty cool stuff there. We didn't need the political speech. Could have just told us what the Einstein doll was. I guess correctly it was Einstein. Yeah, the space boots look like they were designed by Hugo Boss back in the 1940s. He had his speech prepared, didn't want to waste it. No doubt about that. Go Albert. Yeah, what an amazing human being. And thankfully, he escaped Nazi Germany. Otherwise, can you imagine what would have been lost to humanity? Absolutely brilliant. Dylan, you're very welcome. Anyway, folks, this has been pretty amazing. It's not what it looks like. It's what's in the bricks. Pam Melroy, former astronaut
Pam,
here.
and I have just been chatting about how wonderful.
See how woke they are again?
Oh, it's a gorgeous day here at the historic Kennedy Space Center. For me to see the next generation of launch vehicles launching to the space station was thrilling.
And also the next generation of young explorers. You know, you and I were talking about a young boy here, guys, that bought a space suit, an astronaut suit from downstairs at our store and was wearing it around and running around. How cute was that to see him so excited?
Well, I found it pretty cute to see the three rookies who were on the flight, as well as my very dear personal friend, Koichi Wakata, who I flew with in 2000 to the space station.
Wow.
So I'm inspired by both the young and the experienced.
And speak to me about that like you said, you've flown on the space shuttle 3 times. Talk to me about that ascent, how it must feel as they're going up through the atmosphere.
Very different than this ascent.
It's absolutely a remarkable experience. And I found myself thinking as I was looking at the schedule for this rocket, how physics drives so much of what we do. So it's very similar in the timing of everything, but the space shuttle was a little bit of a wild ride, I have to say. It had a lot of vibration, particularly the first 2 minutes. But, you know, it's a very different experience when you're here on the ground. It always brings tears to my eyes. I pray for the crew. When you're inside the vehicle, you're having a blast.
So I'm glad to hear that they're having a blast.
Shaking apart.
Talk to me about why these commercial crew missions are so important.
Well, they're really important to us for a lot of different reasons. The whole value that NASA brings to the American people and in fact to humanity is around science, a strong science and technology posture for the country, and inspiration. And we see that all wrapped up in Commercial Crew because we see the ability to do more science on orbit because we can carry more crew members. We see the advancements that have been made through NASA investments in commercial crew and commercial cargo that are lifting our entire space industry. And of course, there's nothing better than seeing an astronaut fly to space for inspiration.
Sure.
I agree with that,
what's
Pam Elroy.
next for NASA? You know, right behind us, we have the vehicle assembly building. Inside
Artemis. When is Artemis launching?
Rocket. Are you excited for that?
Tell us about Artemis.
I'm very excited. I'll tell you, it's a big deal when a new rocket flies for the first time.
SRS.
And we have learned a lot. We have a lot to learn.
Yet to launch.
Like I was a test pilot, so when we flew airplanes, we never actually launched the first try. Usually we just taxied down the runway. So we've taken her out to the runway a couple of times now, and we've learned a lot. And I cannot wait to see the most powerful rocket in the world launch going to the moon.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of great stuff here, and we're so happy to bring viewers on the ride with us, right?
You bet. That's the whole idea. NASA shares and inspires.
Perfect. Pam, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Guys,
Pam,
we're going to send it back to you for the
Melroy,
last time
Deputy
today.
Administrator for NASA, folks.
Great job out there. Appreciate it. And
Come
Nicole,
back to
Josh,
Clark
and
Kent.
Koichi and Anna are now on course to arrive at the International Space Station around 4:57 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. And of course, NASA TV will stay on the air for continuous live coverage along Crew-5's entire ride.
39, almost 40
Meanwhile,
minutes since
SpaceX's
the
YouTube
launch.
channel will join live coverage starting at roughly 2 hours prior to docking. And though our coverage here at Kennedy is coming to a close, we will turn it over to the team in Houston to take us through the next phases of the Crew-5 mission all the way through the arrival at the International Space Station. For those of you watching online on NASA's YouTube, make sure you take a look at the description below. You'll see the video link there, and you'll find that for Crew-5 Coast Phase. Live coverage will continue at that link shortly. You can see it at the bottom of your screen.
Well, there you go, folks. 40 minutes into flight, SpaceX wrapping up their coverage. I'm going to wrap up mine here in a couple minutes, but just to say thanks for everybody for tuning in. And this was the Crew-5 mission launched to the International Space Station from Launch Pad 39 Alpha at the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida, on the Space Coast, a place where I was at in February. Once again, it was good to see it again back in February. Folks, once again, the United States leading the world. Now I see John Yankees and also Michael Holmes talking about fixing poverty. Fixing poverty is the responsibility of people, not government. Government, I'm not a big fan of government doing things, but this is a joint venture between private enterprise and government. And it's only been possible because of private enterprise. NASA, when it scuppered the shuttle program, under Barack Obama, they found themselves with no ability to get their astronauts into space to do experiments which have improved life and improved crop yields, improved medicine here on this planet, which have alleviated poverty. I think that people who complain about space exploration are very short-sighted about the impact that space has had in our lives since the space program was launched. You have mobile communications and cellular telephones because of the space program. You have satellite television because of the space program. And those industries create tens of millions of jobs and generate wealth for people and alleviate poverty. The handset manufacturers who make phones in China for Apple are living no longer in poverty because of the cell phone industry, which is made possible because of space exploration. And the list of contributions to mankind is endless. It's a very simplistic response to say, why can't they alleviate poverty? Let me tell you something. For those of you who believe in government handouts, let's just take the 17 trillion rand that the ANC has stolen since 1994 and give it to all the poor people. None of them are poor anymore. Of course, that's ludicrous, because they will still be poor, because many of those people have no understanding of wealth and how to use it and how to grow it, and will spend it and be consumers, and then it'll all be gone. It'll be like Saudi Arabia, where people buy cars and never take them in for maintenance, and when they break, they buy another car. Anyway, so the point here is that if you want to alleviate poverty, complaining about the space program is not the answer. Complaining about money squandered by governments is a far better answer if you think government is the answer to it. But government is not the answer to poverty. There will always be poverty, Michael Holmes and John Yankees. You cannot legislate stupidity out of existence. That's just the reality. I don't know why people don't understand that. But stupid people make stupid decisions. Look at Nadine Ruiz. Nadine Ruiz, a top-flight rugby player who just played in the Rugby World Cup in Cape Town, where I was at. That's what this jersey is right here. World Cup, Sevens World Cup in Cape Town. She was just there. Nadine Ruiz was put in an orphanage because her useless mother and stepfather were incapable of being parents. We've never found out why. I suspect either alcoholism or drugs or just irresponsible behavior. Her aunt watched after her, and her aunt had enough of it. She couldn't take care of it anymore, so she put her in an orphanage. Her grandma, her Uma Sari, came and saved her from an orphanage. Otherwise, she would have had a miserable life, probably would have been abused in care. And so Nadine Ruiz was saved from a life of poverty because of her grandmother who cared about her. Her parents made bad decisions and put her in poverty. There's no reason for being in poverty. Her grandmother wasn't dirt poor. No reason for her mother to be dirt poor. You can't legislate stupidity out of existence. Stupid people do stupid things. People get addicted to drugs. They get addicted to gambling. They get addicted to sex. They get addicted to this. They get addicted to that. People are irresponsible with their money. They spend their money, and then when a disaster happens, they have a medical situation, or they have their car breaks down, or they lose a job. They have no resources, no savings, because they're irresponsible. You can't legislate that out, and it's not my job to carry those people. I save and invest every time. I pay myself, I meet my obligations, and I pay myself, and then I enjoy my life. If there's nothing left to enjoy, then I don't get to enjoy my life. I make the most of it. And I make prudent decisions. I went to the grocery store 2 days ago to buy groceries for the first time since before I was in South Africa. And there were some items I went to buy that I hadn't bought in a while that I really wanted. I wanted some Emmental cheese. $12.67 a pound. I'm not paying $12.67 a pound for cheese. That's outrageous. I really want it. I really enjoy it. It's a part of my diet. It's healthy. It's good for me. I'm lactose tolerant because of my DNA. Thank you for that. But I didn't buy it. Salami. A little tiny stick, this big, $9. That's outrageous. There were other things I wanted, outrageous prices. Double, triple what they were when Trump was president 18 months ago. I made the decision not to buy them. Now, I have family members, and I know people who don't have money who will buy that stuff. I had a sibling that bought a cell phone, a $1,500 cell phone for a 9-year-old, an Apple. The hell is that? Why does a 9-year-old need an Apple cell phone? They don't. A 9-year-old doesn't even need a cell phone. Maybe a pager. It's a shame we don't have those anymore. You can't legislate stupidity out of business. Now, this stream wasn't about talking about that, but we got on that rant, that topic a little bit there. That causes worsens poverty. Government is the number one cause of poverty. Government policies, failed macroeconomic policies, and government policies are the number one reason for poverty. That's why. Ignorance is the number two reason, and a poor education. You know, I lived in the two countries with the highest birth rates on the planet, Uganda and Niger. When I was in Niger, my driver at the embassy and I were talking one day, and he mentioned he was one of 44 or 45 children. His father sired 45 children. Niger, when I was a kid, had 4 million people. The country hasn't gotten any larger. The Niger River doesn't deliver any more water. The soil isn't any richer. In fact, desertification is a consequence of poor land use and overuse, and desertification facilitated by overpopulation, overgrazing by sheep and goats, has made it a demonstrably more difficult place to do agriculture. Yet today, there are almost 26 million people living in Niger. 4 million to 26 million. All those people are poor. Why? Because of bad decisions. Having 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 children, that's asinine. What does that accomplish other than misery and poverty? What wealthy people other than Elon Musk have a bunch of kids? Anyway, but those are choices people make. Now, what we found in countries around the world, starting in Asia, but we realized in Africa later on too. When I say we, I'm talking about the global we. What we found and what we discovered, ladies and gentlemen, is that when girls receive an education through 6th grade, birth rates do this. Instead of doing this, they do this. They crater. Girls being educated through 6th grade, in which they learn a little bit about their physical bodies and their health and their rights, plummet. When they are educated through secondary school, they decline even further. The drop isn't as great, but they still decline. The key to reducing poverty is educating girls and women. That alone reduces poverty. That's the start right there. That's the start right there. Anyway, so poverty is not my fault. Not your fault. It's the fault of many things. And many of them are macroeconomic policies by government and also the lack of education, ignorance. That's what it is. Yep. Michael Holmes, government's not funding people's potential is also bad, and it's being done U.S. No, it's not. It's not my job to pay for your potential, Michael Holmes. Why do you think that? Why do you think it's my job to work my ass off, to earn pay, to have 48% of it taken by criminals in D.C. and then given to you, not you, Michael, but you, the you, given to someone so they can experience their potential? That's nonsense. That's utter nonsense. That's morally bankrupt. Now, if you want to have a conversation like John Yankees and I had the other night, in which we talked about people who have lesser means through no fault of their own get qualified for grants and loans to improve their education and go to university, that's fine. I have no problem subsidizing people who have no money, who have ambition, who have drive. As long as they're not doing queer studies and women's studies and wasting my time in philosophy, studying something like STEM, that'd be great. I have no problem subsidizing that. I have no problem with my tax dollars doing it. I have no problem with my tax dollars going to help people who are victims of a natural disaster or a tornado, they're not of their own making. I don't have a problem with that. But I have a problem with people getting a handout who sit at home and do nothing while I work my ass off. That's morally bankrupt. It's not my job to help someone else realize their potential unless they're in my family or they work for me or they're in my church, synagogue, or mosque. Then maybe I have a responsibility. That's how it works. This, Michael, we have a fundamental disagreement, brother, and that's fine. And I'm happy to have a disagreement. People can have disagreements on this channel. It's awesome. But we fundamentally disagree. Our worldviews are very different, or maybe you and I just aren't communicating very well. The bottom line is it's not my responsibility to help other people realize their potential through the use of my tax dollars or deficit spending. It's just morally wrong. Education got my wife and her family out of poverty, and the next generation is being educated now. Exactly, Bob. Exactly right. And your wife from the Philippines. So you think government should not exist at all then, or do you just want to fund? Okay, all right. So Michael, you're asking real questions, so I won't go off. You're asking a legitimate question, or do you just want them to fund roads and courts and police? No, government's not existing and all that's crazy. That's anarchy. I'm not an anarchist. I do believe in government, but government has a limited role. Government's role is to ensure a level playing field. That's the purpose. Unfortunately, governments don't do that. In fact, they do the opposite. In Zimbabwe, racists in the government forced people to sell 51% or give 51% of their equity to Zimbabweans who are black. Not mixed race, not Khoisan, not white, not Asian, but black. That's racism. That doesn't help anybody. That's just theft. And in South Africa, broad-based black economic empowerment excludes people from contracts unless they're majority owned by people based on their skin pigmentation. That doesn't help anybody. That devalues and denigrates anybody. Why should I start a business in South Africa if I can't do business with everybody in the country when I'm relegated to not being able to do business with 40% of the economy because the government sucks up 40% of the resources? That's just stupid. It's stupid. But governments are supposed to ensure a level playing field. In the United States, we have the Securities and Exchange Commission. Their job, their sole responsibility is to ensure that the stock market and the mutual funds and the bond market is free and fair and balanced. And they fail every single day. Ivan Boesky. What's the other clown a few years ago? The list of scamsters and hucksters who defraud investors is legion. The Securities and Exchange Commission has 4,300 officers. Last time I checked, that's been over a decade ago. I don't know how many they have now. But the SEC didn't have enough people to investigate the over 500,000 certified financial planners, plus all the stockbrokers in this country. They fail. Governments are here to protect us and protect our sovereignty and protect our inalienable rights. That's their job. It's not the job of government to build apartments, to run apartment houses, to do this, to do that. I have no problem with governments being involved in road construction, port facilities, because that's infrastructure. That's for the benefit of all. That's for the community. I also have no problem with private enterprises doing it in certain conditions. But government is supposed to level the playing field, not give people unfair advantage. They're supposed to prevent unfair advantage. Government has failed abysmally. Democratic governments in the southern states of the United States prevented black Americans from voting for decades through poll tax, literacy tests, land requirements, all of which are illegitimate, illegal, and violate the Constitution. That is not the role of the government. They pick and chose winners. The National Party picked and chose winners. The ANC picks and chooses winners. That's not the role of government. That is not the role of government. The role of government is to govern legitimately on the behalf of all equally and fairly. And that is not what is happening. I mentioned in my news program earlier today that the Treasury Department is starting a council on equity, racial equity. That's bogus. That's racial exclusion. Take a look at the U.S. Air Force Academy's woke pamphlets on transgenderism and on the Air Force promoting it. There are half a dozen photographs. 80% or 70% of the people in the Air Force Academy are male. 60% of the people in the Air Force Academy are white males. They represent less than 5% of the photographs of people that they promote for the Air Force Academy. That is not inclusion. That is not a level playing field. That is exclusion. That is racial exclusion. That is misandry. Misandry separating men. It's nonsense. That's not the role of government. The role of government is to level the playing field so that I can't take advantage of you and you can't take advantage of me. That's the role of government. And to protect our sovereignty and ensure public safety, that's their role. Not lifting people out of poverty. That's nonsense. Should government give money to private companies to do roads, or should they use their own capacity? Well, governments don't have their own capacity to build roads, Michael, except for military. Militaries have engineers build roads. Worked 2 jobs for myself through varsity in Germany after national service in South Africa. That was tough. Anyway, I understand why this still needs to be explained. But I don't either, Chris. I don't understand. Well, I do understand why, Chris. Listen, and I'm not attacking John Yankees. I'm glad John is here. I'm also glad that Michael Holmes is here too. And I appreciate their views on this. And they don't get a chance to answer me because it's just text and I'm commenting. So it's hardly entirely fair. But I got to go in a few minutes, folks. But here's the bottom line with this. The reason we have to explain it to people is because of decades of propaganda from leftists who lie about capitalism and lie about the free market and lie about poverty. You see the idiots, and they desperately cling to their lies. In Washington State, Patty Murray is lying about her opponent, Tiffany Smiley, who's cleaning her clock. You know, this toad has been in Senate for 30 years, and Tiffany Smiley is within striking distance of defeating her if it's a free and fair election. We'll see what happens. So what does Patty Murray do? Well, Tiffany Smiley is going to take away your Social Security. What? There's no such proposal. She's never even uttered such words, but they just lie. They frighten people to frighten elderly voters to steal votes. Oh, she's a racist because she's got bleached blonde hair and she's white and she's female, to scare black voters and Native Americans. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It needs to stop. Stop listening to these fools. Jacinda Ardern. You should only listen to stuff from the New Zealand government. We're the only source of correct information. We own the science. Excuse me? Your team of 36 bureaucrats who are educated in New Zealand are experts on the world and epidemiology and science and technology? Shut up, Jacinda Ardern. Your tiny-ass little country of 4.9 million people. A lot of them are real haters. It's a shame. It's a beautiful country. Nonsense. Governments oppress. That's not their job. Stop. Does anyone for a second stop to think about the student loan forgiveness? $400 billion and breaking the moral responsibility. So you can just borrow money and never pay it back. What about the people who've gone to jail or gone through bankruptcy because they didn't pay back their loans for their car, for their home, or a personal loan? It's utter nonsense. It needs to stop. This was supposed to be a NASA launch, and it was. Anyway, folks, I got to go. But thank you all. I just ran through my news telling you six different schools that are not done, that the Gauteng Department of Education contracted to build. And they're in various states of not being done. Over R1 billion of money pissed down the drain. Students still walking ridiculously long distances to get to school when there's a school in their neighborhood that isn't finished because it was built next to a leaking sewage pipeline years ago. Governments. Oh, please. Governments are capable, but they're just full of people. Anyway. Let me just check and see if I've got a link over here for my other stream. That's the wrong software. Give me a second here. Okay, cool. I got to go, folks. If you want to catch me, come over to Ronaldo Chus. If one of my mods, if there's any mods here, could put a link into Ronaldo's program, I'd greatly appreciate it. Join me over there, Ronaldo. I'll be over there in just a moment, folks. Thanks a lot. I do appreciate you following me here. 70 people here. 40 now. It was 74. Anyway, you can't impersonate Jacinda. Her Apple is much more noticeable. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, mine's buried under here, and it's also not very prominent. So anyway, all right, that's it, folks. See you guys a little bit later. I'll see you in Ronaldo. I'll think about a night owls today, but I'm not sure on that. I might also try another Rumble. We'll see, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, so it's time to go to Ronaldo. Thanks a lot, everybody. Cheers. Catch you on the backside. Please follow us over at Ronaldo. It seems like no mods are here. I guess I can't go because I got to get Ronaldo's link, so I'll do that since there's no mods here. Wow, where are all my mods gone? Wow, that sucks. YouTube, let me get Ronaldo's. Come on, watch. Okay, there we go. There we go. It's in 1 minute, so I'm going to be a little bit late over there, but that's because I want to get you guys over there. So here's the link to Ronaldo, so you can join me over there. There's 44 people here. See how many people show up. If you come over, just say Chris sent me. So there's the link, folks. Please join us at Ronaldo. Thanks a lot. Have a lovely day. Take care of yourselves. God bless. And thanks for tuning into this NASA broadcast. Cheers, everybody.